I was chained and left to die. Until a devastating fire changed everything. My name is Ruth Harry, and the man I was born to love just chained me in the center of a burning village. Not metaphorically. Literally. Alpha David Sky wasn't just my pack leader. He was my fated mate. The bond snapped into place 6 months ago when our eyes met across the training grounds, that undeniable pull that's supposed to mean forever, safety, unconditional love. He rejected it. Publicly. Said an Omega wolf wasn't worthy of an Alpha's bond. Said I was beneath him. Said the moon goddess made a mistake. And now, as flames consume everything I've ever known, as smoke chokes my lungs and iron chains bite into my raw skin, he stands 20 feet away watching me burn. They say I killed 3 pack members. Set fire to the eastern houses while families slept. Found me with accelerant on my hands, ashes in my hair, blood under my nails. I didn't do it. I swear on the moon goddess herself, I didn't do it. But no one believes the word of a rejected Omega over physical evidence. No one questions why I would destroy my own home. No one asks who benefits from my death. The iron collar around my neck is so tight I can barely breathe. My wrists are rubbed raw where the shackles have dug through skin down to bone during the 3 weeks I spent in the pack prison. The heavy chains wrapped around my torso feel like they're crushing my ribs with every shallow breath I manage to drag into my burning lungs. Any last words? The beta calls out, his voice barely audible over the roar of flames consuming the wooden buildings around us. The fire started at the edges of the village square, and now it's closing in like a noose tightening around my throat. I could beg. I could scream my innocence one more time. I could plead for mercy from the mate who already denied me. Instead, I lift my chin and look directly at David Sky. His golden eyes meet mine for the first time since the rejection, and I see something flicker there. Pain? Regret? Or just the smoke stinging his eyes? I hope you remember this, I say, my voice surprisingly steady. I hope you remember my face. I hope you remember that I was innocent. I hope it haunts you for the rest of your miserable life. His jaw tightens. His hands clench into fists at his sides. But he says nothing. He just watches as the flames creep closer. The heat is unbearable now. My skin feels like it's blistering, peeling away in sheets. The smoke is so thick I can't see beyond the wall of fire surrounding me. Every breath is agony, my lungs screaming for clean air that doesn't exist anymore. This is how I die. Chained and burning while my fated mate watches. And then something impossible happens. The mate bond is severed, rejected, dead for 6 months, suddenly reignites inside my chest. Not the gentle warmth of recognition. No, this is fire. This is agony. This is every emotion David Sky tried to bury exploding to life all at once. I feel his horror as he realizes what's happening. I feel his panic slamming into his ribcage. I feel his legs moving before his mind can process the decision, carrying him toward the flames. Ruth. The word tears from his throat like it's been ripped out by force. He's running now, shoving pack members aside, their protests meaningless against the bond screaming at him that his mate is dying. But he's too late. The flames are already consuming me. Except they're not. The fire touches my skin and something deep inside me recognizes it. Welcomes it. Claims it. My wolf, dormant since my imprisonment, suddenly surges to the surface with a power I've never felt before. But it's not just my wolf. It's something older. Something ancient. Something that's been sleeping in my bloodline for generations, waiting for fire to wake it. The chains around my torso glow red-hot and shatter. The collar around my neck melts away like wax. The shackles on my wrists simply cease to exist. And I stand in the center of the inferno, completely unharmed, as flames dance across my skin like they're greeting an old friend. David Sky crashes to his knees at the edge of the fire circle, his face a mask of shock and something that looks almost like fear. Because I'm not burning. The fire is bowing to me. If you're feeling that pull of the story already, that need to know what happens next, hit that subscribe button right now. Trust me, you won't want to miss where this goes. I post new chapters regularly, and this story is about to get wild. And hey, drop a comment below telling me what you think David's thinking right now, because the man just watched his rejected mate survive the impossible, and nothing will ever be the same. Now, let me take you back to the beginning. To 6 months ago. To the moment everything changed. To the day I learned that fated mates don't always mean forever. 6 months earlier, the bond snaps. I was carrying firewood across the training grounds when it happened. One moment I was just Ruth Harry, invisible Omega, and the next my entire world tilted sideways as golden eyes met mine across 50 feet of packed dirt. The mate bond slammed into place like lightning striking my chest. Every nerve in my body came alive. My wolf surged forward howling with recognition and joy. This was it. This was him. My fated mate. My forever. Alpha David Sky stood frozen, his face betraying the same shock I felt. He'd felt it too. The bond was mutual, undeniable, sacred. For 3 perfect seconds, I let myself believe in fairy tales. Then his expression shuddered like a door slamming shut. His jaw clenched so hard I could see the muscle jumping. His hands curled into fists at his sides. And he turned his back on me. Just walked away like I was nothing. Like the moon goddess herself hadn't just declared us perfect for each other. I stood there, arms full of firewood, watching him disappear into the pack house, my wolf whimpering in confusion and hurt. 3 days later. David called a pack gathering. I thought maybe he needed time to process, to figure out how to announce our bond. Alphas don't usually mate with Omegas, but it happens. The moon goddess doesn't make mistakes. I was so stupid. I've called you all here to make an announcement, David's voice carried across the assembled pack, strong and commanding. 3 days ago, a mate bond attempted to form between myself and Ruth Harry. My heart soared for half a second before I processed his phrasing. Attempted to form. I reject this bond, he continued, his golden eyes finally meeting mine across the crowd. They were cold. Empty. Like looking into the eyes of a stranger. The moon goddess has made an error. An Omega is not fit to stand beside an Alpha. Ruth Harry is weak, unremarkable, and beneath the standard required of my mate. I sever this bond in front of the pack as witnesses. Ruth Harry means nothing to me. The pain was indescribable. Like my chest was being ripped open, my heart torn out still beating. My wolf howled in agony. The bond, barely 3 days old, shattered like glass. I felt every piece sliced through me on the way down. The pack was silent. Even they were shocked by the brutality of it. Rejections happened, but never like this. Never so cruel. Never so public. I ran. Ran from the gathering, from the pitying looks, from the whispers already starting. Ran until I collapsed in the forest, sobbing so hard I thought I might die from the pain alone. What I didn't know then, what I wouldn't learn until much later, was that David stood at that podium for 20 minutes after I fled, his hands gripping the wood so hard it cracked beneath his fingers, fighting every instinct screaming at him to go after me. The months after, I became a ghost in my own pack. People avoided me. The rejected Omega. The one not good enough for the Alpha. Some pitied me. Most just found me embarrassing. David never spoke to me again. Would leave rooms when I entered. Would take different paths to avoid crossing mine. The complete erasure of my existence. I tried to move on. Took on extra work to keep busy. Helped in the pack kitchens, tended the gardens, anything to stay occupied and useful. I never noticed the person watching me from the shadows. Never saw the jealousy in their eyes. Never realized that David's rejection hadn't made me safe, it had made me vulnerable. The night of the fire. I was in the gardens past midnight, unable to sleep again. My wolf was restless, pacing, agitated by something I couldn't name. The smell hit me first. Gasoline. Sharp and chemical in the cool night air. Then I saw the flames. The eastern houses, where families slept, suddenly engulfed in fire. Screams erupted into the night. I ran toward the flames without thinking. My wolf surged forward, lending me speed. If people were trapped, I had to help. That's when strong hands grabbed me from behind, shoving me to the ground. Before I could scream, something hit my head hard enough to make my vision blur. When I came to, I was kneeling in the ashes of the burnt houses, accelerant soaking my hands and clothes, blood under my nails, 3 bodies lying nearby. And David Skye standing over me, his face carved from stone, betrayal and disgust in his golden eyes. Ruth Harry, his voice was empty of all emotion, you are under arrest for arson and murder. I started, but guards were already dragging me away. The last thing I saw before they threw me in the prison cells was David turning his back on me again. Just like he had 6 months before. If you're hooked on Ruth's story and need to know how she got from that prison cell to standing in flames, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that button and turn on notifications because this story is about to get intense. Comment below if you think David really believes Ruth is guilty, or if something else is going on. Your theories fuel me, and I love reading them. 3 weeks in prison. The pack prison wasn't designed for long-term captivity. It was designed to break you. 3 weeks of interrogation. 3 weeks of being told to confess. 3 weeks of no one believing a word I said. Just admit it, the beta would snarl, slamming his hands on the table during questioning. Admit you were jealous. Admit you wanted revenge on the alpha who rejected you. Admit you wanted to hurt the pack that witnessed your humiliation. I didn't do it, I would say for the 100th time. I was in the gardens. Someone grabbed me. Someone set me up. The evidence says otherwise. And it did. My fingerprints on the accelerant containers. My hair found at all 3 fire sites. Witnesses who claimed they saw me near the houses earlier that day. A journal supposedly found in my room detailing plans for revenge. All of it lies. All of it planted. But impossible to prove. David came to my cell once. 3 days before the execution. He stood outside the bars, hands in his pockets, face expressionless. I was curled on the floor, too weak to stand, covered in bruises from enhanced questioning. Did you do it? His voice was quiet. Almost gentle. It hurt worse than the beatings. I looked up at him with one eye swollen shut. Would it matter if I said no? Something flickered in his golden eyes. Pain? Doubt? The evidence. Damn the evidence. The words tore from my throat, raw and desperate. You know me, David. You felt the mate bond. The moon goddess doesn't bind monsters to alphas. You know, in your soul, I couldn't do this. His hands clenched into fists. His jaw worked like he was physically restraining words trying to escape. I rejected that bond, he finally said, his voice flat. What I feel doesn't matter. The law is clear. Then why are you here? I whispered. He didn't answer. Just stood there for another minute, those golden eyes boring into mine like he was trying to see through to my soul. Then he turned and left. Didn't look back. I cried for hours after that. Because part of me had hoped. Stupid, desperate hope that maybe he'd save me. That maybe the bond meant something even rejected. But hope is a dangerous thing for the condemned. The pack gathered in the main square for the sentencing. Traditional justice for traditional crimes. Ruth Harry, the beta's voice rang out, you have been found guilty of arson and murder. 3 pack members died because of your actions. You have brought shame upon the Silver Pine Pack and rejected the mercy you were shown after your public humiliation. Public humiliation. Like David's rejection was a gift I'd squandered. The sentence for such crimes is death by fire, the beta continued. You will burn as your victims burned. May the moon goddess have mercy on your soul, for we will not. The pack cheered. Actually cheered my death sentence. I searched the crowd for one face. Found David standing at the edge, his expression carved from granite. Our eyes met, and I saw it. The briefest flash of agony before his mask slammed back into place. He still felt something. The rejection hadn't completely killed the bond. But it didn't matter. He wasn't going to save me. The day before. They moved me to a cell with a window. A mercy, they called it. So I could see the sun one last time. I watched the pack prepare the execution site. Stacking wood around the center pole. Testing the chains they'd used to bind me. The iron collar that would prevent shifting. I wasn't afraid of the pain. 3 weeks of torture had numbed me to physical suffering. I was afraid of dying with everyone believing I was a monster. That night, I couldn't sleep. My wolf was howling constantly, throwing herself against the walls of my mind, desperate to break free. And then I heard footsteps outside my cell. David stood in the shadows, barely visible. He didn't speak. Just stood there for what felt like hours. I'm innocent, I whispered into the darkness. I know. The words were so quiet I almost didn't hear them. My heart stopped. What? But he was already walking away, his footsteps echoing down the prison corridor. I know. He knew. He believed me. And he was letting me burn anyway. They came for me at dawn. Dragged me from my cell without ceremony. The iron collar went on first, heavy, cold, biting into my skin. Then the chains around my wrists and torso, so tight I could barely breathe. The walk to the square felt eternal and too short all at once. Pack members lined the streets, some crying, most silent, a few jeering. And David Skye walked behind me. Not beside, not leading. Behind. Like he couldn't bear to look at me but couldn't stay away either. When we reached the center pole, strong hands lifted me onto the platform. They chained me to the post, wrapping additional chains around my torso until I could barely move. The beta stepped forward with a torch. Ruth Harry, do you have any final words? I could have begged. Could have screamed my innocence one more time. Could have cursed them all. Instead, I lifted my head and looked directly at David Skye. I hope you remember this. I hope you remember my face. I hope you remember that I was innocent. I hope it haunts you for the rest of your miserable life. His face cracked. Just for a second. Pain and regret flashing across his features before the mask returned. The beta circled the platform, touching his torch to the kindling. Flames erupted instantly, accelerant making them spread fast. The heat was immediate and overwhelming. My skin started to blister. My lungs filled with smoke. My wolf was howling, scratching at my mind, desperate to save us. But the collar prevented shifting. I was trapped in human form as the fire consumed everything. And then the mate bond reignited. Not gentle. Not warm. Pure agony slamming through both of us as David felt my approaching death through the connection he'd tried to kill. I felt his horror. His pain. His realization that he'd made a terrible mistake. I felt him move before he decided to. Felt his legs carrying him toward the flames while his mind screamed at him to stop. Ruth. My name torn from his throat like a prayer and a curse. But he was too late. The flames had already reached me. Except they weren't burning me. My wolf surged forward with power I'd never felt before. Not just wolf. Something older. Something ancient sleeping in my bloodline, awakened by fire. The chains shattered. The collar melted. The shackles dissolved. And I stood in the center of the inferno, completely untouched, as flames danced across my skin like they were welcoming me home. David crashed to his knees at the edge of the fire circle, his face a mask of shock and something that looked like fear. Because I wasn't burning. I was becoming. The fire wasn't my execution. It was my awakening. And nothing would ever be the same again. The fire circles me like a living thing, flames reaching toward me with curiosity rather than hunger. I can feel their heat, but it doesn't burn. It hums against my skin like recognition, like coming home to something I didn't know I'd lost. Through the wall of fire, I can see the pack backing away. Fear ripples through them like a physical wave. Good. Let them be afraid. Let them feel a fraction of the terror they put me through. David is still on his knees at the edge of the flames, his golden eyes locked on me with an expression I can't read. Horror. Awe. Regret? The mate bond pulses between us, stronger than it ever was before the rejection. I can feel everything he's feeling, the shock, the confusion, the bone-deep terror that he's just condemned an innocent woman to death. Ruth. My name falls from his lips like a prayer. Like an apology. Like it means something now when it meant nothing 3 weeks ago. I don't answer. I just stand there in the center of the inferno, letting him see what his judgment created. The beta finds his voice first, though it cracks with fear. Witchcraft. She's used dark magic to survive. Kill her. Kill her before. Silence. David's alpha command cuts through the chaos like a blade. The entire pack freezes, unable to disobey. He rises slowly to his feet, his eyes never leaving mine. Everyone back to your homes. Now. But Alpha? Now. The pack scatters like leaves in a storm. Within minutes, the square is empty except for David, the beta, and a few of David's most trusted guards who look like they'd rather be anywhere else. David takes a step toward the flames. Then another. His hand reaches out like he's going to touch the fire, and I see his fingers shake. Ruth, he says again, his voice rough. I need you to come out of there. Why? The word comes out cold. Hard. So you can chain me up again? Find a different way to kill me since fire didn't work? No. He stops, jaw clenching. I need to understand what's happening. I need to know you're safe. A laugh bubbles up from my chest, sharp and bitter. Safe? You sentenced me to burn alive, David. You watched them chain me. You stood there while they lit the fire. And now you're concerned about my safety? The mate bond lets me feel his flinch like it's my own pain. Good. He should hurt. I thought. He stops again, running a hand through his dark hair. The evidence was overwhelming. I thought you were guilty. No, you didn't. His head snaps up. You came to my cell the night before the execution, I continue, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. You said I know. You knew I was innocent, and you let them kill me anyway. The color drains from his face. Around us, the guards exchange shocked glances. The beta takes a step back, uncertainty flickering across his features. Ruth. Don't. I raise my hand, and the flames surge higher, responding to my emotion. Everyone jumps back except David, who stands his ground even though I can feel his fear through the bond. You don't get to explain. You don't get to apologize. You had a choice, and you chose to let an innocent woman burn. I had no choice. The words explode from him, raw and desperate. They would have killed you anyway. At least this way it was quick, it was. Merciful? I finish, my voice dripping with venom. Is that what you're going to tell yourself? That burning me alive was a kindness? No, He takes another step forward, close enough now that the flames are licking at his boots. Please, Ruth. Let me explain. Let me. Let you what? Fix this? I gesture at the charred remains of the execution platform, at my torn dress and the marks where the chains were. There is no fixing this, David. You rejected our mate bond. You condemned me for crimes I didn't commit. You stood there and watched them light the fire. The only thing that saved me was something neither of us understood until it was too late. I know. His voice breaks on the words. I know, and I will spend the rest of my life trying to make this right. But first, please, I'm begging you, come out of the fire before something goes wrong. Wrong? I look down at my hands, watching flames dance across my palms without leaving a mark. The fire isn't hurting me, David. It's part of me. This is what your execution awakened. I take a step forward, and the flames part around me like a curtain. Another step, and I'm standing at the edge of the circle, close enough to see the gold flecks in David's eyes, close enough to smell the fear on him. What are you? The beta whispers from somewhere behind David. I don't know, I answer honestly, looking down at my flame-wreathed hands. But I'm not the weak little Omega you sentenced to death. The fire finally dies, pulling back into my skin like it was never there. The sudden absence of heat makes me sway, and David's hands shoot out to steady me. The moment his skin touches mine, the mate bond explodes between us. 6 months of denial, 3 weeks of agony, and the trauma of near-death all crashing together in one overwhelming wave. I feel his guilt. His fear. His desperate, aching need to protect me even though it's far too late for that. And underneath it all, buried deep but undeniable, his love. Still there. Still burning despite the rejection. It's too much. My knees buckle, and David catches me before I hit the ground. His arms wrap around me like he has the right, like he didn't just try to have me executed, and I'm too exhausted to fight him off. I've got you, he murmurs against my hair. I've got you, Ruth. I won't let anything happen to you. The laugh that escapes me is half sob. You're the one who tried to kill me. His arms tighten. I know. Moon goddess help me, I know. I wake up in a bedroom I don't recognize. Soft sheets, morning light streaming through windows, the smell of pine and steel that means I'm in the pack house. I'm in David's quarters. In his bed. I bolt upright, panic flaring before I remember the fire, the awakening, the collapse. David carrying me somewhere while I drifted in and out of consciousness. The door opens before I can process further. David enters carrying a tray of food, and we both freeze when our eyes meet. He looks terrible. His hair is disheveled, his clothes rumpled like he slept in them. Dark circles under his eyes suggest he didn't sleep at all. The mate bond hums with his exhaustion and worry. You're awake, he says, his voice rough. How do you feel? Like I was sentenced to death by the man I was supposed to spend my life with. The words come out flat. Emotionless. I'm too tired for anger right now. He flinches but doesn't look away. Fair enough. He sets the tray on the bedside table. You need to eat. Your body went through. Where am I? I cut him off. My quarters. You needed somewhere safe while. Safe? I laugh without humor. I'm in the bedroom of the man who tried to have me executed. That's your definition of safe? Ruth. No. I throw back the covers, ignoring the way my body protests the movement. I'm not doing this. I'm not playing whatever game this is. Either arrest me again or let me go, but I'm not staying here. I'm halfway to the door when he moves, faster than I can track, blocking my exit without touching me. You can't leave, he says quietly. Watch me. Ruth, please. The please stops me more than anything else. David Sky doesn't beg. Just listen for 5 minutes. Then if you want to leave, I won't stop you. I cross my arms, waiting. He takes a deep breath, and through the bond one feel him gathering courage for something. You're not under arrest. You're under my protection. As of last night, I've declared your conviction void and opened an investigation into who actually committed those murders. That is not what I expected. Why? The question comes out suspicious. Why now? Because I didn't die like you planned? Because I never believed you were guilty. The words tumble out in a rush. From the first moment they brought me to the fire and I saw you kneeling there covered in accelerant, something was wrong. The timing, the evidence, the way it all pointed too perfectly at you. But I had no proof and the pack was howling for justice. So you gave them me. So I tried to buy time. His voice rises with frustration. The execution would take 3 weeks to prepare. 3 weeks for me to find evidence, to figure out who set you up, to prove your innocence before you had to watch me burn? He stops, his jaw clenching. Yes. And did you? I ask coldly. Find evidence? Prove anything? The silence is damning. I thought so. I moved toward the door again. You had 3 weeks, David. 3 weeks while I was tortured and broken in that cell. 3 weeks while I begged anyone who would listen to believe me. And you found nothing. So you let me burn. I found something. I stop. The night before your execution, I found something, he continues, his voice low. One of the witnesses who claimed to see you near the houses? She recanted. Said someone threatened her family if she didn't testify against you. But by then it was too late. The pack was gathered, the sentence passed. If I'd stopped it, whoever framed you would have known I was investigating. They would have destroyed evidence, killed witnesses, maybe tried to kill you in your cell where I couldn't protect you. So instead you let me be executed publicly? I thought, his voice breaks. I thought if you were dead, they'd stop watching. I thought I could find proof, bring you justice posthumously, at least clear your name even if I couldn't save you. I didn't know about your bloodline. I didn't know you'd survive. I was trying to. You were trying to do what? I spin on him, rage finally breaking through my exhaustion. Protect me? By watching me burn? By making me think you believed I was a murderer? By letting the entire pack celebrate my death? I know. He's shouting now too, his control finally snapping. I know it was wrong. I know I failed you. I know I'm the worst kind of coward. But I didn't know what else to do. They had evidence, witnesses, pack law on their side. I'm the alpha, but I'm not a king. I can't just overturn a verdict without proof. You're my mate. The words tear from my throat. Or you were supposed to be. The moon goddess herself bound us together, and you rejected it. You threw me away like I was nothing, and then when I needed you most, when I was innocent and dying, you stood there and watched. I rejected the bond to protect you. The confession explodes between us like a bomb. I freeze. What? The bond. He's breathing hard, his hands clenched into fists. I rejected it to protect you. Because the moment it snapped into place, someone tried to kill you. That same night, there was an accident in the kitchens that nearly dropped a shelf of knives on your head. The next day, your brakes failed on your bike. The day after that, someone poisoned the food specifically prepared for you. My mind spins, trying to process this. I had guards watching you, investigating quietly, he continues, the words pouring out like he's been holding them back for months. Every incident looked like an accident, but there were too many. Someone wanted my mate dead, and as long as the bond existed, you were a target. So I rejected it. Publicly. Cruelly. Made sure everyone knew you meant nothing to me. To protect me, I whisper, the pieces starting to fall into place. To protect you, he confirms. The attempt stopped after the rejection. Whoever wanted you dead thought you were no longer important. And it worked. For 6 months, you were safe. And then someone framed you for murder, and I knew, it was the same person. They'd just found a new way to kill you. One I couldn't protect you from. I lean against the wall, my legs suddenly weak. The anger is still there, but it's complicated now. Tangled up with understanding and hurt and the terrible knowledge that he tried, in his own broken way, to save me. You should have told me, I finally say. I know. You should have trusted me to make my own choices. I know. You rejected the most sacred bond in our culture and broke my heart to protect me, and then you couldn't even succeed at that. He flinches like I've struck him. I know. Silence falls between us, heavy with everything unsaid. The mate bond pulses with his pain and regret and desperate hope that maybe, somehow, this is fixable. It's not. We both know it's not. But maybe, it's a place to start. Who? I ask finally. Who wants me dead badly enough to frame me for murder? I don't know yet, he admits. But I'm going to find out. And Ruth? He waits until I meet his eyes. I know I have no right to ask anything of you. I know what I did is unforgivable. But please, stay here where I can protect you. Let me keep you safe while I figure this out. Safe. I test the word on my tongue. Like how you kept me safe in that prison cell? Like how you kept me safe on that execution platform? He doesn't have an answer for that. I'll stay, I say finally. But not because I trust you. Not because I forgive you. I'll stay because whoever framed me is still out there, and apparently I have some kind of fire magic I don't understand. I'll stay because I want justice. And David? I step closer, looking up into those golden eyes that once promised me forever. If you ever try to make decisions for my own good again, if you ever try to protect me by lying to me, I will burn this whole pack to the ground. Are we clear? Crystal, he whispers. Good. I move past him toward the food tray because I'm starving and spite isn't a meal. Now get out. I need to eat and think, and I can't do either with you standing there drowning me in guilty alpha pheromones through our stupid bond that apparently didn't break after all. He goes without argument, closing the door quietly behind him. And I'm left alone in my mate's bedroom, in his scent, with the memory of flames dancing across my skin and the knowledge that nothing will ever be simple again. 3 days of house arrest in David's quarters feels like 3 years. He brings me food, leaves me books, respects my space when I make it clear his presence isn't welcome. But I can feel him through the bond constantly. His guilt. His worry. His desperate need to fix what he broke. On the 3rd night, he knocks on the door after dinner. We found something, he says without preamble. About the night of the fire. I set down the book I wasn't really reading. I'm listening. The accelerant used in the fire wasn't from our pack stores. It was purchased from a supplier 3 territories over. Someone went to a lot of trouble to get it without being traced. And the purchase was made by someone using credentials from the pack beta's office. But the beta swears he never authorized it, and the paperwork was filed when he was documented to be at a council meeting 3 hours away. My mind starts working through the implications. Someone in his office. Someone with access to his credentials and authority. David leans against the doorframe. We're looking at everyone who works in administration. But Ruth, that's dozens of people. Pack accountants, records keepers, advisors. It's going to take time to narrow down. Time I was supposed to be dead for, I point out. Time you were supposed to be dead for, he agrees quietly. Whoever did this is probably panicking right now. Which makes them dangerous. More dangerous than framing someone for murder and watching them burn? He doesn't rise to the bait. There's something else. The 3 wolves who died in the fire? They all had one thing in common. They were historians. Specialists in pack bloodlines and ancient magic. The air leaves my lungs in a rush. My bloodline. Your bloodline, David confirms. Someone was researching it. All three of them had checked out the same books from the pack library in the weeks before they died. Books about fire magic, ancient wolf abilities, dormant powers. They were helping me. The realization hits like a physical blow. I asked them about my family history months ago, just curiosity about my parents. And someone killed them for it. And framed you for their murders, David adds. Making you look guilty while eliminating the people who could have told you what you are. What I am. The question that's been burning in my mind since the flames recognized me. What am I, David? I whisper. What did that fire wake up? He's quiet for a long moment. I don't know. But I know someone who might. The pack elder lives on the edge of our territory in a cabin that smells like herbs and old magic. She's ancient, possibly the oldest wolf in the region, and she remembers things the rest of the pack has forgotten. David drives us there in silence, the mate bond thrumming between us with tension. I haven't left his quarters in days, and being outside feels strange. Vulnerable. The elder is waiting on her porch when we arrive, like she knew we were coming. Alpha, she greets David with a nod. Then her eyes fix on me, sharp and knowing despite their milky appearance. And the girl who was supposed to burn. Elder, I say respectfully, because even though I'm angry at the world, you don't disrespect someone who's lived 300 years. Come inside, child. You too, Alpha. Though I imagine you won't like what I have to tell you. The cabin interior is exactly what you'd expect, dried herbs hanging from ceiling beams, shelves full of books and strange objects, a fire burning in the hearth that makes my skin tingle with recognition. The elder gestures for us to sit. You want to know about the girl's bloodline? Yes, David says. She survived fire that should have killed her. The flames didn't burn her at all. What is she? She's a phoenix daughter. The elder says it like it's obvious. Like it's not the most absurd thing I've ever heard. One of the original bloodlines. We thought they'd died out centuries ago, but apparently not. Phoenix daughter, I repeat slowly. Like the mythical bird? Not mythical, the elder corrects. Very real. Very rare. And very, very dangerous to anyone who wants to maintain power through traditional means. She moves to one of her bookshelves, pulling down a leather-bound tome that looks older than the pack itself. The Phoenix daughters were the original balance keepers, she continues, flipping through pages covered in faded handwriting. When the packs became too violent, too cruel, when alphas ruled through fear instead of justice, the Phoenix daughters would rise. They couldn't be killed by traditional means. Fire was their element, their weapon, their rebirth. They would burn away corruption and rebuild from the ashes. My hands are shaking. That's why someone wanted me dead. They knew what I was. They knew what you could become, the elder corrects. The power is dormant until awakened by fire. Someone tried to kill you before that awakening could happen. When that failed, they framed you, knowing the pack's traditional punishment for murder was burning. They were trying to trigger the awakening in a way that would kill you before you could control it. But it didn't work, David says, his voice tight. Because I'm apparently harder to kill than they thought, I finish. The elder looks at me with something like pity. Child, they didn't fail to kill you. They succeeded in creating exactly what they feared. A fully awakened Phoenix daughter with a grudge against the pack that condemned her. You're a walking arsenal now. I don't want to be an arsenal, I say quietly. I just want justice. Justice and revenge look very similar when you're the one holding the match, the elder observes. She turns to David. Alpha, do you understand what this means? What she is? I understand that someone in my pack tried to execute an innocent woman and accidentally created something powerful enough to burn us all to the ground. His golden eyes meet mine. I understand that I failed her in every possible way. The Phoenix daughters don't need mates, the elder says bluntly. They don't need alphas or packs or anyone's protection. They are complete unto themselves. The bond you rejected? She looks between us. It might be the only thing keeping her anchored to this pack at all. The words hang in the air like a threat. Is that true? David asks me quietly. If the bond was completely severed, would you leave? I think about it. Really think about it. 3 weeks ago, the answer would have been no. I loved this pack despite how they treated me. It was my home. But now? I don't know, I answer honestly. I don't know what I am anymore. I don't know what I want. All I know is that someone killed 3 innocent people and tried to frame me for it. Someone wanted me dead badly enough to manipulate an entire pack. And I'm not leaving until I know who and why. The elder nods approvingly. Good. Revenge with purpose. That's what keeps you human. She closes the book with a decisive thump. Now, about controlling your new abilities. Wait, I interrupt. How do you know so much about Phoenix daughters if they supposedly died out centuries ago? The elder's smile is mysterious and unsettling. I'm 307 years old, child. I've seen things the rest of this pack can't imagine. Including the last Phoenix daughter to walk these lands. What happened to her? She burned down 3 corrupt packs, established laws that still govern us today, and disappeared into legend. The elder's eyes glint. Some say she's still alive somewhere, waiting for the next time balance is needed. Others say she finally let herself die after her work was done. Either way, she changed everything. I don't want to burn down packs, I say firmly. I want justice. There's a difference. Keep telling yourself that, the elder says. But when you find out who killed those historians and framed you, who wanted you dead before you could awaken, we'll see if you still believe in the difference between justice and revenge. She's right, and we all know it. The person who did this to me won't die peacefully in their sleep. They won't get a fair trial or mercy. When I find them, they'll burn. And maybe that makes me the monster they tried to create. But right now, I can't bring myself to care. The elder insists I stay at her cabin for the next week. You can't go back to the pack house burning with uncontrolled power, she says flatly. One nightmare, one angry moment, and you'll kill everyone in their sleep. David doesn't like it, but he doesn't argue. Probably because he knows the elder is right. All postguards around the perimeter, he says as we stand on the elder's porch that evening. Discreet ones. Just in case whoever framed you decides to try again. I can protect myself now, I point out. I know. His golden eyes are tired. Sad. But let me do this anyway. Let me protect you in the one way you might actually allow. I want to say no out of spite. But the truth is, I'm scared. This power inside me is wild and unpredictable. I don't know how to control it, and the thought of accidentally hurting someone, even someone from the pack that condemned me, makes my stomach turn. Fine, I finally agree. But David? Your guards stay outside the elder's wards. I don't want anyone watching me while I figure this out. He nods and turns to leave, then stops. Ruth? Thank you. For staying. For giving me a chance to find who did this. I'm not staying for you, I say coldly. I'm staying for me. I deserve to know the truth. I deserve justice. I know. He looks like he wants to say more, but instead he just walks away, his shoulders heavy with guilt I can feel through the bond even as the distance grows between us. The elder watches him go with those ancient, knowing eyes. You're harder on him than you need to be. He tried to have me executed. He tried to protect you in the stupidest way possible, she corrects. There's a difference. Doesn't make it right. But intent matters, child. Remember that when you're deciding whether to burn him alive or just make him suffer. I can't tell if she's joking. The first lesson starts that night. Fire responds to emotion, the elder explains as we stand in a clearing behind her cabin. Specifically, to strong emotion. Anger, fear, grief, joy, it doesn't matter. What matters is intensity. Right now, you're a powder keg of rage and hurt. That's why the flames came so easily during your execution. You were feeling everything at maximum volume. So what, I need to be angry to use the fire? No. You need to learn to access that intensity without being consumed by it. Feel the emotion, acknowledge it, then channel it through your will instead of letting it explode out of you. She gestures at a pile of wood stacked in the center of the clearing. Light it. I stare at the wood. Try to summon the flames like they came during the execution. Nothing happens. You're thinking too much, the elder observes. This isn't a mental exercise. It's emotional. What do you feel right now? Frustrated. Confused. Exhausted. Not strong enough. Dig deeper. What's underneath those surface emotions? I close my eyes and sink into myself. Past the frustration. Past the confusion. Down to the raw wound that's been bleeding since the moment David rejected me. Betrayal. Abandonment. The bone-deep knowledge that the person meant to love me unconditionally chose not to. Fire explodes from my palms, wild and uncontrolled. The woodpile erupts into an inferno so hot the elder has to step back. Good, she calls over the roar of flames. Now stop it. What? Stop the fire. Pull it back. Control it. I try. The flames just burn hotter. How do I? The same way you started it. Emotion. What's the opposite of that betrayal you're feeling? I don't know. I don't have an opposite. Every positive feeling I had was tied to David, and he destroyed all of them. The flames spread beyond the clearing, catching on nearby trees. Panic flares in my chest, making everything worse. Child. The elder's voice cuts through my spiraling thoughts. Look at me. I turn to her, and she's holding out her hand. Not afraid. Not running. Just waiting. You are not your pain, she says firmly. You are not what was done to you. You are Ruth Harry, and you decide what this power means. Now take a breath and pull it back. I focus on her weathered hand. On her calm presence. On the fact that she's not afraid of me even when I'm losing control. Slowly, painfully, the flames recede. They don't go out, but they pull back into the clearing, leaving the trees singed but not destroyed. By the time I collapse to my knees, exhausted, the fire is contained to just the original woodpile, burning at a normal, manageable level. Not bad for a first attempt, the elder says, helping me to my feet. Though we've got a lot of work to do before you can be around other people safely. I've been at the elder's cabin for 5 days when David returns with news. I'm in the middle of practicing sustained flame control, keeping a fire burning at exactly the same temperature and size for hours, when I sense him approaching through the bond. The elder excuses herself tactfully, leaving us alone in the clearing. David looks worse than when he left. More tired. More worn down. The guilt through the bond is crushing. We found something, he says without preamble. About the credentials used to purchase the accelerant. I let the practice fire die and give him my full attention. The paperwork was filed by someone in the beta's office, like we thought. But we traced the physical purchase to a specific date and time. Security footage from the supplier shows who picked up the accelerant. He pulls out a photograph. My blood turns to ice. The woman in the image is familiar. Very familiar. Lydia, I whisper. The beta's daughter. David nods grimly. She's been working in her father's office for 3 years. Had complete access to all credentials, all records, all PAC information. My mind spins through memories. Lydia and I were never close, but we weren't enemies either. We ran in completely different circles, her in the pack's elite social sphere, me among the omegas and lower ranks. Why? I ask. What could she possibly gain from framing me? That's what I couldn't figure out at first, David admits. But then I started digging into her personal records. Ruth, she's been in a relationship with someone for the past year. Someone her father doesn't approve of. Someone she's been keeping secret. Who? He hands me another photograph. The man is older, rough-looking, with cruel eyes and a smile that makes my skin crawl. And he's wearing the colors of a rival pack. His name is Gregory Thorne, David continues. He's the beta of the Bloodcrest pack. They're our biggest rivals, constantly pushing at our borders, trying to expand their territory. If Lydia could sabotage our pack from the inside, she'd prove herself valuable to her lover's pack, I finish, understanding dawning. She'd have a place there when she leaves. And framing you specifically? David's voice goes cold. That was personal. She knew about the mate bond between us. Knew I rejected you. She thought killing you would hurt me, would destabilize my leadership. Two birds, one stone. The historians, I say suddenly. She killed them because they found out about my bloodline. If a phoenix daughter awakened in the pack, that would make us too powerful for Bloodcrest to challenge. Exactly. David's hands clench into fists. She was eliminating threats to her plan. The historians who could identify you. You, before you could awaken. She probably thought having you executed by fire would just kill you, not trigger your powers. A bitter laugh escapes me. She created the exact thing she was trying to prevent. Yes. David meets my eyes. And now she knows you're alive. She knows you're powerful. And she's going to be desperate. As if summoning her by speaking her name, the bond suddenly flares with alarm. Not my alarm, David's guards. Something's wrong. David's phone rings. He answers, his face going pale as he listens. The pack house is under attack, he says when he hangs up. Bloodcrest warriors. Dozens of them. They're killing anyone who gets in their way. Lydia, I breathe. She called them in. She's forcing a confrontation. Now. While I'm here and the pack is vulnerable. David is already moving toward his car. I have to get back. I have to. I'm coming with you. He stops. Turns. Ruth, you're not ready. You can barely control. My pack is under attack, I interrupt. The pack that condemned me, yes. The pack that watched me burn. But also the pack with innocent children and elders who had nothing to do with any of this. I'm not letting them die because of me. This isn't because of you. This is because of Lydia's betrayal and Bloodcrest's ambition. It's because of my bloodline, I correct. Because I'm a phoenix daughter and that makes me dangerous to them. Which means this is exactly my fight. David opens his mouth to argue, then closes it. Through the bond, I feel his calculation shifting. He's weighing my safety against the pack's need. The elder said you're not ready, he tries one more time. The elder also said phoenix daughters were created to burn away corruption and rebuild from ashes. I call flame to my hands, letting it dance across my palms with more control than I had 5 days ago. Not perfect. But enough. Sounds like exactly what we need right now. He studies me for a long moment. Then nods once, sharp and decisive. Fine. But you stay behind me. You don't engage unless absolutely necessary. And Ruth? His golden eyes bore into mine. If I tell you to run, you run. No arguments. No heroics. Understood? I'm not promising that. Then I'm not taking you. We stare at each other, locked in a battle of wills that neither of us can afford to lose. Finally, I nod. Fine. If you tell me to run, I'll consider it. Ruth. That's the best you're getting, David. Take it or leave it. He growls in frustration, but we don't have time to argue. Every second we waste is another second the pack is in danger. Get in the car, he orders, already moving. The drive back to pack territory is tense and silent except for David's phone constantly ringing with updates. None of them good. 12 dead so far, he reports after one call, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. 23 injured. They hit the training grounds first, took out our best fighters while they were unprepared. Now they're pushing toward the pack house itself. Where's Lydia? No one's seen her since this morning. My guess? She's already gone. Ran to Bloodcrest the moment she called in the attack. Coward, I mutter. Smart, David corrects grimly. She knows she's dead if she stays. She's betting on Bloodcrest winning this fight and absorbing what's left of our pack. Then she gets to come back as a hero who helped conquer us from within. The thought makes rage burn in my chest. Not the wild, uncontrolled anger from before. This is cold. Calculated. Focused. This is the kind of anger I can use. We're still half a mile from the pack house when we see the smoke. The scene that greets us is chaos. Bloodcrest warriors in their black and red colors are everywhere, fighting our pack members in brutal close combat. Buildings burn. Bodies litter the ground. The sounds of snarling and screaming fill the air. David shifts before the car even fully stops, his massive black wolf exploding out of his clothes. He throws himself into the nearest fight without hesitation, his alpha power making him a devastating force. I climb out more slowly, taking in the battlefield. Looking for where I'm needed most. That's when I see them. A group of Bloodcrest warriors has cornered a dozen of our pack members against the burning community center. Women, children, elders, non-combatants who were just in the wrong place when the attack started. The warriors are laughing. Taking their time. Making it hurt. One of them raises a blade toward a child who can't be more than 7 years old. The rage that floods through me is crystalline. Pure. Exactly what the elder taught me to harness. I don't run toward them. I don't shout a warning or try to negotiate. I just reach for the fire that's been waiting inside me since the moment I clawed my way out of my own execution. And I let it loose. Flames erupt from my body in a massive wave, rushing across the ground toward the Bloodcrest warriors with terrifying speed. But, and this is the crucial part, the thing I've been practicing for 5 days, they flow around our pack members like water around stones. The fire knows who I want it to hurt. And it obeys. The Bloodcrest warriors don't even have time to scream. One moment they're laughing, threatening innocence. The next they're ash on the wind. Complete silence falls across the battlefield as every single fighter, ours and theirs, stops to stare at me. I'm standing in the middle of the street, flames wreathing my body like wings, my eyes probably glowing with power I'm barely containing. The fire casts dancing shadows across the destruction, making me look like something out of nightmare or legend. Phoenix daughter, someone whispers. The words spread through the crowd like wildfire. The remaining Bloodcrest warriors, there are maybe 30 left, exchange nervous glances. Their confidence has evaporated. They came here expecting an easy victory over a leaderless pack. They didn't expect me. Leave, I say, my voice carrying across the sudden quiet. Leave now, and I'll let you walk away. Stay, and I'll show you exactly why Phoenix daughters were feared. For a moment, I think they might actually be smart enough to run. Then their leader, a massive warrior with scars covering half his face, laughs. You're just one wolf. Powerful, sure. But 1 against 30? The math doesn't work out, little Omega. I'm not an Omega anymore, I tell him calmly. And you're not very good at math. I raise my hands, and fire answers. But this time it's different. This time I'm not exploding with emotion. I'm in control. Precise. Devastating. Walls of flame erupt between the Bloodcrest warriors, separating them from each other. From us. Boxing them in with fire that doesn't spread, doesn't consume the buildings, it just burns exactly where I want it to burn. Last chance, I call out. Run. Now. Half of them do. They bolt for the tree line, abandoning their mission and their leader without a second thought. The other half, stupid, prideful, or just too committed, charge at me instead. David tries to intercept them, his wolf form massive and deadly. But he doesn't need to. Because the fire moves before they can reach me. It rises up like living serpents, coiling around the warriors, burning through their defenses but not killing them. Not yet. Just holding them. Trapping them. Making them feel exactly as helpless as I felt chained on that platform. You came to my pack, I say, walking closer to where they're trapped in burning cages. Killed my people. Threatened children. All because your beta's girlfriend decided we were worth destroying. We were following orders, one of them shouts. So was the pack that executed me, I reply coldly. Following orders doesn't make you innocent. It just makes you a coward who lets others do your thinking for you. I can feel David through the bond, watching me, waiting to see what I'll do. The whole pack is watching. This moment will define what they think of me. What I think of myself. Justice or revenge, the elder's voice echoes in my mind. They look the same when you're the one holding the match. I could kill them all. Right now. With a thought. They deserve it for what they did, for the pack members lying dead in the street. But if I do that, I become exactly what they feared. A weapon. A monster. Something that solves problems with fire and death. Is that who I want to be? The flames flicker uncertainly around the trapped warriors, responding to my internal conflict. Ruth. David has shifted back to human form, unconcerned with his nakedness as he approaches carefully. You don't have to do this. We can take them prisoner. Try them properly. You don't have to carry this weight. They killed children, David. My voice breaks on the words. I felt them die through the pack bonds. Innocents who never hurt anyone. I know. He's close now, close enough that I can see the gold flecks in his eyes through the flames. And they'll face justice for that. Real justice. Not revenge disguised as righteousness. You're better than this, Ruth. Better than them. Better than the pack that tried to kill you. Don't let them turn you into something you're not. What if this is what I am? I whisper. What if Phoenix daughters were meant to burn away corruption, and that means becoming the executioner? Then I'll stand beside you, he says simply. I'll help you carry that weight. I'll make sure you don't lose yourself in the fire. But Ruth, I don't think that's what you are. I think you're someone who's been hurt so badly that destruction feels like the only power left. But there are other kinds of power. The power to show mercy. The power to be better than the people who wronged you. Through the bond, I feel his sincerity. His desperate hope that I won't do this. Not because he cares about these warriors, he'd kill them all himself without hesitation if I asked, but because he cares about what it will do to me. Damn him for being right. Damn him for knowing me well enough to say exactly the thing that would make me hesitate. Fine, I finally say, and the flames around the warriors shift from burning cages to simple bonds. Still trapped. Still helpless. But not dying. Take them prisoner. Try them for their crimes. Let them face real justice instead of my version. The relief through the bond is palpable. But I'm not done. I turn to address the whole pack, both those who fought and those who watched. My voice carries with authority I didn't know I possessed. Let me be clear, I announce. I am Ruth Harry. Phoenix daughter. The Omega you condemned to death. The woman you believed was a murderer. I survived your execution. I survived your hatred. And now I've saved your lives. Shame ripples through the crowd. Good. They should be ashamed. I don't forgive you, I continue. I don't forgive the pack for believing lies. I don't forgive the system that made it so easy to throw away an innocent life. But I'm choosing not to let that destroy me. I'm choosing to be better than the worst thing you believed about me. I let the flames die, pulling them back into my skin until I'm just standing in the street, exhausted and human and very, very done with all of this. But hear this, I finish quietly. If anyone ever tries something like this again, if anyone ever frames an innocent person, if anyone ever condemns someone without real proof, if anyone ever treats pack members as disposable, I will burn down everything you've built. Not in revenge. In revolution. Because this pack needs to change, and apparently I'm the only one powerful enough to force that change. Silence. Then, slowly, one by one, pack members start kneeling. Even the warriors. Even the ones who watched me burn. They're submitting. Not to David's alpha power. To mine. To the Phoenix daughter who chose mercy when she had every right to choose destruction. David kneels too, his golden eyes meeting mine with something that looks like pride and awe and sadness all mixed together. I need to sit down, I mumble, suddenly dizzy. And then the world tilts sideways, and everything goes dark. I wake up 3 days later in David's bed again. Apparently passing out after using massive amounts of fire magic is becoming my signature move. David is sitting in a chair beside the bed, looking like he hasn't slept since the battle. The moment my eyes open, relief floods through the bond so strongly it makes my chest ache. Lydia's been found, he says before I can even ask. She was trying to cross into Bloodcrest territory. My guards caught her at the border. Where is she now? Prison. Waiting for you. For me? You're the one she wronged most, David says quietly. Pack law says you get to decide her fate. Execution, exile, life imprisonment, whatever you choose, the pack will honor it. I sit up slowly, testing my body. Everything aches, but I'm functional. Take me to her. The prison cell looks exactly like the one I spent 3 weeks in. The irony isn't lost on me. Lydia sits on the cold floor, her elegant clothes torn and dirty, her perfect hair matted. When she sees me, genuine fear flashes across her face. Good. Ruth, she starts, her voice shaking. I can explain. You killed 3 innocent historians, I cut her off coldly. You framed me for murder. You arranged for me to be executed by fire. You called in an attack that killed 12 of our pack members. What explanation could possibly matter? I did it for love. The words burst out of her desperately. Gregory promised we'd be together. He said if I helped Bloodcrest take over, I'd be his mate, his partner. I'd be important. Not just the beta's daughter, but someone who mattered. So you killed people. My voice is flat. You destroyed lives. You tore apart families. For a man who was using you. He loves me. He was arrested this morning, David speaks from behind me. Bloodcrest's alpha turned him over to avoid war with us. Gregory confessed everything. Told us you approached him with the plan. Told us you were obsessed with taking down our pack because, he pauses, looking uncomfortable. Because you were jealous that Ruth was the alpha's mate and you weren't. The confession hits like a slap. What? Lydia won't meet my eyes. You were nobody. An omega. Nothing special. And the moon goddess chose you for him? It wasn't fair. You didn't deserve it. So when he rejected you, I thought maybe he'd see me instead. But he never did. He never saw anyone but you, even after the rejection. So I decided if I couldn't have him, I'd destroy everything he cared about. Starting with you. The sheer pettiness of it steals my breath. All of this, the murders, the frame job, the execution, the attack, because she was jealous over a mate bond that got rejected anyway? You're pathetic, I say finally. You killed innocent people because you couldn't handle the fact that David and I were fated mates? You started a war because you wanted something that was never yours to take? I'm sorry, she whispers, tears streaming down her face now. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I didn't think. You didn't think I'd survive. I crouched down to her level, letting her see the fire flickering in my eyes. You thought you'd kill me, frame me as a murderer so no one would mourn me, and then seduce David while he was vulnerable. But you made one mistake, Lydia. You used fire. I call flame to my hand, watching her flinch away from it. Fire is my element now, I continue softly. It's part of me. And every time I use it, I'm reminded of what you tried to do. Of the platform. The chains. The smoke choking my lungs. The feeling of being abandoned by everyone I trusted. Please, she sobs. Please don't kill me. I'm sorry. I'll do anything. I'm not going to kill you. I stand up, letting the flame die. That would be too easy. Too quick. No, Lydia, you're going to live. You're going to live a very long life in this cell, thinking every single day about the people you killed. The lives you destroyed. The fact that you threw away everything, your family, your pack, your future, for a man who never loved you in a jealousy that consumed you. I turn to David. Life imprisonment. No visitors. No chance of parole. She stays in this cell until she dies of old age, living with what she's done. Ruth, Lydia reaches through the bars desperately. Please, you can't. I can, I interrupt. Because unlike you, I actually have the power to show mercy. Even to someone who showed me none. But don't mistake mercy for forgiveness, Lydia. I will never forgive you. I'll just choose not to let you take any more from me than you already have. I walk away from the cell while she's still sobbing, David falling into step beside me. That was harder than killing her would have been, he observes quietly. I know. But I meant what I said during the battle. I'm choosing to be better than the worst things done to me. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. 3 days after Lydia's sentencing, David calls a full pack gathering. Every member who can walk is present, filling the great hall to capacity. I stand beside him on the platform, not behind him like an Omega should, but beside him as an equal. The symbolism isn't lost on anyone. Our pack has been through hell, David begins, his voice carrying to every corner of the hall. We were betrayed from within. We nearly fell to our enemies. We condemned an innocent woman to death because we believed lies and followed tradition over truth. Shame ripples through the crowd. Good. They should feel it. But we survived, he continues. We survived because of Ruth Harry. The woman we tried to kill. The Phoenix daughter we tried to destroy. She saved us when she had every right to let us burn. He turns to me, and through the bond one feel his sincerity. His gratitude. His desperate hope that maybe, somehow, we can find a way forward. Ruth has asked to speak, he says, gesturing for me to step forward. I take a deep breath and address the pack that condemned me. I'm not going to pretend to forgive you, I start bluntly. I'm not going to say everything is fine now, that we can just move on and forget what happened. You sentenced me to death. You watched me burn. You celebrated my execution. The hall is dead silent. But I'm also not going to leave, I continue. Because this pack, for all its flaws, for all the ways it failed me, is still my home. And homes are worth fighting for. Worth rebuilding. Worth changing from the inside. I let fire dance across my fingertips, letting them see the power I now wield. So here's what's going to change, I announce. No more executions without absolute proof. No more condemning people based on circumstantial evidence. No more treating omegas like we're disposable. No more believing that strength only comes from physical power. Murmurs of agreement ripple through the crowd. I am Ruth Harry, Phoenix daughter, I finish. And I'm choosing to stay. To rebuild. To make sure that what happened to me never happens to anyone else. But I'm not doing it alone. I turn to David, holding out my hand. Through the bond, I feel his shock. His hope. His desperate, aching need for this to mean what he thinks it means. I'm not ready to accept the mate bond, I say clearly, so everyone can hear. I'm not ready to forgive what was done, to pretend that rejection and execution can be swept under the rug with pretty words. But I am ready to try. To see if maybe, eventually, we can build something new from these ashes. David takes my hand carefully, like I'm something precious that might break. Like I'm a gift he doesn't deserve but will treasure anyway. I will spend the rest of my life earning your trust, he says, and I can hear the vow in his voice. I will prove every single day that I'm worthy of you. That the moon goddess wasn't wrong when she bound us together. And if you never fully forgive me, if you never fully accept the bond, I'll understand. I'll stay beside you anyway. However you'll have me. It's not a happy ending. Not the fairy tale reunion where everything is magically fixed. But it's a beginning. A chance. And maybe that's enough. 6 months later. The first snow of winter falls on a pack that looks nothing like the one that tried to execute me. New laws are in place. Omegas have representatives in pack leadership. The prison system has been completely overhauled. And a memorial stands in the center of the square where I nearly died, dedicated to the 3 historians who were murdered and the 12 pack members who fell in the battle. I visit it every morning before training. Yes, training. Turns out being a Phoenix daughter means everyone wants to learn from you. I've got a whole class of young wolves learning not just how to fight, but how to think critically. How to question orders. How to value all kinds of strength. David joins me at the memorial this morning, 2 cups of coffee in his hands. He doesn't speak, just stands beside me, offering silent support. We've gotten good at this over the past 6 months. Being together without pressure. Rebuilding trust one day at a time. The mate bond is still there, humming between us. Sometimes it aches with everything we've lost. Sometimes it hums with tentative hope for what we might become. I'm learning to live with both. The council is coming next week, David says eventually. They want to officially recognize you as Phoenix daughter. Add you to the registry of ancient bloodlines. Sounds boring, I reply, sipping my coffee. Probably will be. I can hear the smile in his voice. But it means protection. Means other packs will know what you are. Know not to mess with us. We don't need protection. We have me. Yes, he agrees simply. We do. We stand in comfortable silence, watching snow cover the memorial, the pack house, the square where everything changed. Do you regret it? David asks quietly. Staying? Choosing to rebuild instead of burning it all down and starting fresh somewhere else? I think about it. Really think about it. No, I finally say. Leaving would have been easier. But this, I gesture at the pack house, at the wolves training in the distance, at the memorial dedicated to truth and justice, this matters more. Besides. I turn to face him, letting him see the fire flickering in my eyes. Someone has to make sure you don't screw it up again. He laughs, real and genuine, and through the bond one feel his love. Still there. Still burning despite everything. I'm not ready to say it back. Might not be ready for a long time. But I don't push him away when he takes my hand. Don't resist when he pulls me close, his forehead resting against mine. Thank you, he whispers. For staying. For giving us a chance. For being stronger than anyone who's ever tried to break you. I didn't do it for you, I remind him. But the words are softer now. Less sharp. I know. He smiles, sad and hopeful all at once. But I'm grateful anyway. The snow falls heavier now, covering the ashes of the old pack, making space for something new to grow. And I stand in the center of it all, no longer the rejected Omega, no longer the condemned murderer, no longer the victim of other people's choices. I am Ruth Harry, Phoenix's daughter. I was chained and left to die in a devastating fire. But the fire didn't destroy me. It set me free. And from those ashes, I rose stronger than anyone, including myself, ever imagined possible. The end.